We're back at Symmons Plains celebrating the track's 50th birthday this weekend with the Shannons Nationals, and it's the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge presented by Mission Foods. We're on board with John Trend, putting in a starring performance in this third race of the weekend. Richard Crail and former Porsche Carrera Cup racer Ian Dyke, and an accomplished Porsche driver trainer with me in the commentary box today. It's been a good drive from this man so far.
It has, yeah. A couple of little overtaking manoeuvres he's pulled off there and have been very successful.
So he's now got new competitor to the series, Gary Dan, in the 16 Weeks Building Solutions car, following him down the backstretch, and Gary joining this series in 2010. Great to have him on board. Very fast Porsche steerer. Great to have some representation from the South Australia competitors as well. On board with Yuey Tan, let's take a listen to the 997 Porsche GT3 Cup car. And he's got a racy Jeff Bobick right behind him, Ian, up the inside into the hairpin.
Yeah, it looked like Bobick had lined that one up quite early and managed to slide up the inside. This will be the challenging part, getting the run off that hairpin.
Well, we saw John Trend make some nice moves before. Here's what he had to say after race 2.
Yeah, no, it was good. The car was excellent. The car's been really good all weekend. You had to be really careful. There was a fair bit of dirt on the track, particularly down into the hairpin. There's really only 2 spots you can pass here, down into the hairpin and at the back of the back straight. And looking forward to race 3.
Pretty fired up this weekend, John Trent, making up from a pretty tough race 1. On board with Roger Largo, he's following Terry Knight in the Action Tyres 22 car.
The sequential gearbox here in the 997 is just a beautiful piece of equipment, and you can see Largo just pulling back at the gears there.
Now, Terry's had a pretty good run up inside, well, second place for most of this race. I wonder if his tyres are starting to feel the pinch a little bit, because I don't think that was really a passing manoeuvre, was it? That was Terry letting Roger Largo go through up into second place.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like Terry was, you know, almost like there was a bit of a missed gear or something there, but Largo had an easy opportunity to scoot around the outside before that sweeper.
So Matt Kingsley leads. Largo now up to second place. Terry Knight running in third place. He's been having a very, very good weekend. Gary Dan up in fourth. Great drive from him. And then we see this battle now with Yuey Tan in the Wim Mobilise car from McElrea Motorsport for the full season in 2010. Looking forward to having Yuey. He's a great personality as part of this series. Oh, and there's dramas for Trend. Trend slowing. Oh, and Smoke as well. He's got some serious issues. That is blown up, sir.
Definitely not going any further.
Big dramas for John Trent. What a shame after a starring performance in the last race and the first half of this one, and the 31 car stranded by the side of the racetrack brings to an end a really good charge from the Victorian driver, and that's got to be the worst feeling in motorsport. Indeed,
he does look a little dejected there as he strolls off to behind the catch fence.
Roger Largo now up to second place, and starting out after our leader Matt Kingsley, he's just disappeared off into the distance. And Roger last year in the 997 trophy class winner, leading the 997 group of cars in last year's series.
Yeah, and you can see obviously Kingsley out in front will be in the 996, and Terry Knight there just behind in the 996. So they've got some other challenges to deal with. The H pattern gearbox and the ABS can be a positive, but it's also a little bit of an unknown at times, especially in slipperier conditions like we've got here this weekend.
I think the 996 Brigade sort of had a light circle around this date on the calendar as one of the tracks where they'd be particularly strong against the 997 Brigade.
Indeed, indeed, and you know, to see 2 of them there in the top 3, I suppose that emphasises that.
The Action Tyres crew be fairly happy, you'd think. Matt Kingsley out in front trying to get his series back on track. Talking about back on track, Sven Boykarts was off the racetrack earlier in this one, and he's trying to work his way through. Jeff Bobick just up in front.
Yeah, we didn't see the start of that, but it looked like certainly one of those cars hadn't come off the previous corner very well, and an unusual place to see the cars too wide through there.
Yuey Tan getting wrapped up by Sven, the Princess, as his nickname continues, and we saw Jeff Bobick, the ballerina, this weekend, thanks to his efforts at Bathurst at turn 1, walking around the paddock very bravely, I think, with a 2-2 on all weekend.
Terry Knight here looks like he's under a bit of pressure by, again, another one of those 997 vehicles.
And Yuey Tan goes round at turn 1. Here's what happened. The sound of tortured Michelins on the exit of turn 2. So here's Gary Dan working on Terry Knight. So Terry fading towards the end of this race, but it's been a great drive by the Gold Coaster, the former Kiwi. Claim was one of our own now, I think. I'm not just saying that because he let me drive his car. And John Morris off the side of the racetrack too for the Victorian. Yeah, and Jinadasa looking up the inside. He's another of these drivers on the comeback trail after the spin on the opening lap. Well, McElroy Motorsport are fronted with 2 cars this weekend, one of them driven by the great character from Singapore. Here's Yuey Tan.
All right, welcome Yuey. What's brought you here to Australia to race in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge?
Well, our team runs cars over in Porsche Carrera Cup Asia, and our engineer's Australian, and we found this series and we've come to love it. There's some beautiful tracks out here. Bathurst was an absolute pleasure to drive on, and we've got Morgan Park and Eastern Creek. We're looking really forward to it. Hairpin's a nice, neat corner. Some of us go on the outside, some of us go on the inside. I think I'm working pretty well with the car there, so we're happy this weekend.
I guess, Ian, that's the best thing about Porsche Motorsport. It's really a global sort of formula, isn't it?
That's exactly right. These cars, the identical platform that they're running on here is the same cars they're using in categories all over the world, such as Porsche Super Cup, which even run alongside the Formula One. So yeah, it's a good global car, global category.
Well, Kingsley continuing out in front and begins his final lap. This has been an exercise in domination this weekend, and for the Queenslander from Southport there on the Gold Coast, this is exactly what the doctor orders. A turn 1, lap 1 crash at Bathurst with Sven Boykart's not the ideal way to open his championship account, but this has been the perfect comeback for him. On board with Roger Largo, starting his final lap as well. Good solid drive to second.
And here they come down towards that hairpin, and as Yuey Tan just mentioned, you can run them pretty much 2 wide through here, a higher line or a low line, and Bobic looks like he's overshot that one with a big lock up on entry.
That was the extra high line for Jeff Bobic.
Indeed.
Gets it done on Terry Knight. So a shame for Jeff running wide there, but it's been a masterful weekend for this man. This will rocket him right to the top of the standings where he likes to be. Matt Kingsley wins at Symmons Plains, round 2 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Australia Series presented by Mission Foods. Roger Largo home in 2nd place ahead of Gary Dan, then Jeff Bobic, Terry Knight a good drive to 5th ahead of Boykart's Filton and Jinadasa.
Matt Kingsley, the round winner of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. It's been a major effort to turn the car around after what happened at Bathurst. Had a fairly major incident, and to be honest, I wouldn't be here without the help and support we've got from our local businesses in Porsche Centre. So, no, a big tap on the back for them because they did a really good job to get us here.
It has been a great start to the year for you, and just tell us about taking it off the line and at the start of that race with Sven.
Yeah, no, he's a big unit, and it's going to be a real hard duel to the first corner, and whoever got to the first corner first would pretty much demonstrate the pace for the race. And fortunate enough it was me, but he was right behind my tail. But just a bit lucky. We've got ABS in our cars, and in those slippery first conditions, we did have an advantage. So unfortunately for him, I think he made a little mistake, but it was only just trying because we do have an advantage in that situation. He was just trying to make it up. He did a really good drive.
Well, there's Matt Kingsley, a happy man and plenty of smiling faces after a great weekend at Symmons Plains Raceway. Here are the series points after 2 of 6 rounds. It's Kingsley leading and leads the 996 class as well. Roger Largo leading 997s and 2nd in the series. Boykart's 3rd and Jeff Bobic completes the top 4.